Hey, coffee experts. Those of you running independent coffee shops, you're always looking for ways that you can drop your costs. And we here at the Coffee Experts Club really understand that. And so we've started something called Indie Coffee Coalition. And what it's designed to do is to drop your costs on two of the things that you're probably experiencing the highest sales volume in your store. And that is energy drink and frat mix. Those two line items, we've created our own products and are offering you those products at a reduced cost so that you can cut out the Red Bull of America. You can cut out the main lines of energy drinks that you're doing and serve your own energy drink at a reduced cost on a line item that you're probably already making a lot of sales on anyway. The best way that you can grow sales is by dropping your costs and maintaining a current volume. So check us out at indiecoffee.co and we'll love to tell you more there.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aaron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-through openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
Hey, Coffee Experts Club. What's up, brother?
Good day to you, sir, and to all of our listeners. Hello.
Man, I've been sad not to have Drew Moody with us lately. You know what I mean? But I mean, here's what's happens. You start growing your coffee empire in a third world country like Belize. Our boy's just like, sorry, guys, I had to fly over to the other location today. Sorry, I had to pick up cash over here doing this. Sorry, I had to pay the contractor. But I mean, truly, I feel like we're in a season right now where a bunch of our coffee clients are expanding. Outsider is doing a grand opening this next week. They've got a franchisee that's doing a grand opening a couple weeks after that. We've got Coffee de los Mayas grand opening coming up the first or second week of June. It's an
Yep.
exciting season.
Yeah, it is that. I mean, it's that time of the year. Spring's always the best time of year for coffee, right? If you can open in late March or like late August, those are prime times. You get like the spring, when the sun comes out, people just start buying more. Like it's just what happens. And in the fall, you get like everybody coming back to school. Pumpkin, exactly. No, that's a real thing though. Like people will wait around for pumpkin. It's true.
Crazy. It's crazy. I think that love this time of the year for the sake of, I feel like every season within coffee kind of offers its new set of challenges, right? And I think sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, and especially when you're a solopreneur, or you're like stressed, right? You're still working behind the bar. We talked about that a lot on this show, or maybe you're thinking about or dreaming about, going out and starting your own thing, but it's overwhelming to think about. I think if we can change our mindset towards, hey, these aren't opportunities for me to complain, or this isn't something for me to get overwhelmed or burned out about. It's an opportunity for me to take a deep breath and a step back and realize, no, I'm going to expand my mind. I'm going to expand my abilities. Not all answers have to come back to me. I know we think that,
Yeah.
right? We think that we're the only solution. I just had a conversation with a client earlier today about the danger for being a Swiss Army knife is it's tough to know which blade should I be pulling out. You know what I mean, like I think that if you know you're good on bar, if you know you're good on marketing, if you know you're good at doing the finances, if you know you're good at like building your social media, the downside can be like, what are you playing to? And I was telling him today, sometimes I look at people and I'm like, how did that guy get so successful? He's so dumb. I get like that, I'll be in these meetings with people, like not our clients, but people I'll be around. And I'm like, dude, that guy just feels like such a tool. Like that guy just seems like that. It's like, no, that actually is it. He's a single use tool.
Yeah.
Like he knows what his one thing is that he kicks ass at or she kicks ass at, and it keeps him out of all the other lanes. You know what I mean? But sometimes when you're a solopreneur, you're just trying to bootstrap things together. You're doing all these things, but that can sometimes be a real Achilles, a real hindrance to growth because you feel like everything has to come back to you. So I think if we can really realize this challenge that I'm in right now is an opportunity to elevate my thinking, and that doesn't always have to come back to me. Can I scan the field and think of other things that could make this thing easier or better? I think it's just a better mindset. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a great mindset. It also keeps you from stressing yourself out because, when you're doing everything and trying to do everything, every new entrepreneur will tell you that the beginning years of their business are the most stressful. Why?
Yep.
Because they're doing and are like having to juggle everything. The problem is that most new owners, once they get past the point of not needing to do that anymore, they get so used to doing it that they're just like, This is just how my life goes. I have 4 locations and I'm doing everything. We're like, no, bro, get yourself a smart kid to manage a couple of those shops. Why are you going in there every day? And
Yep.
you have to break that habit of like, I have to do everything, or break that, like, the only way it'll get done well is if I do it.
Yep.
That'll stun you
Well,
for sure.
it's good. It's good. So let's talk today about the season that we're in. Like, let's try and expand our minds to think a little bit differently. I was talking to somebody, same guy earlier today about the ruts that we fall into feel so good because they feel so comfortable and natural. Even if they're killing us, it's our natural go-to, right? So let's take a deep breath and let's try and expand our mind and think through things a little bit differently when it comes to starting a new location. Swig starting a new location. I forgot them as well. Like they're
Yep.
got that new one coming in off 20th or something like that,
Yep.
right? Something cool
Yep.
that's coming. So I think that a lot of our coffee clients are doing cool new builds. Let's talk about starting a new location. There's a lot of different things we can talk about that. We've talked about that a ton. We go into depth on that in the masterclass. If you haven't checked that one out, myfirstdrivethrough.coffee, totally free. I think it's like 3 hours with the training, 4 hours with the training, give you a bunch of free tools. So check that out. Talk about a lot of new location there, but not this specifically. And I'd like to lean into this with you, Ben, because you've done a shit ton of this. And that is new grand openings when it comes to staff. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe we always talk to people about the ideal time to start working with us as consultants at the Collab team for coffee is you're spinning off into location number 3. That's when you really are starting to hit momentum. And then from there, you could probably use somebody that's been just out in front of you that's open 4 and 5 and 6 and 10 and 15, and then sold off to a nationwide brand like BlackRock, the way that Collab has helped consult people through. But Ben, you've opened up dozens of stores. Like you've had this thing that we're going to talk about right here of having to build new staff for a new location. I would like to talk
Mhm.
about how should we think about hiring, how we should think about existing staff, how we should think about backfilling existing staff if we do take them to new
Mhm.
location, because we've encountered all kinds of crisis
Mhm.
through all 3 of those phasing. So if you can, yeah, let's pull back the curtain and talk a little bit about the magic of what makes a good location hiring. What makes a good cross sectioning of who should I be hiring? How many existing? How many
Mhm.
new? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to do is be honest with yourself on like what type of location this is. Is this an A prime real estate S tier location? We had a few of those that were like when you're building, you're like, oh yeah, you can tell just by standing out in the street that this is gonna be a busy spot. Or maybe it's a slower cafe. We always say you don't always have like your absolute banger shops, you have the tier and lower tier traffic shops. You have to be honest with yourself on that first off, because you have to know that that is going to determine everything when it comes to your staffing.
Yeah.
How many senior baristas do I need to pull over this location? How many brand new baristas can I hire for this location? How many baristas do I need to pull from other shops? What types of baristas should I pull? I mean, a barista who works at a sub-$1 million store is going to be better than a brand new barista, but still they're not used to working high volume like a 2.5 to $3 million store. So like your location first and foremost is going to decide what you do. If it's an S tier, this is going to be one of our flagship shops just in terms of volume. I of course would obviously be thinking of, okay, who are my managers? Who's my manager, and who can I train as an assistant? Hopefully, up to this point, if you've got multiple locations, you've kind of got thoughts in the back of your head of going, okay, that person could be a manager, or maybe I'm already training up an assistant manager at one of these other really good locations. I think that assistant could be my new manager for this location. So thinking through who that manager is going to be, and again, what is that manager's experience with your company? Are they coming from a slower volume store? Well, then if that's the case, maybe let's push them into a higher volume store as an assistant manager, take that assistant manager out of that higher volume store, promote them to manager. So you kind of are ascending them up through your shops so that you're not just plopping a kid straight into an S tier shop and he's like, oh my God, at my old shop, we only had 6 baristas. I gotta have 20 at this location. Like all you have
Because
to
the whole
think through
thing
all
expands,
side
right?
experience. Exactly. Exactly.
And scheduling for 20 people is a lot different than scheduling for 6. Like all the different moving
Totally.
pieces, right? Different positions on the bar, different positions that you're going to
Mhm.
rotate people through. High volume is going to take probably a different matrix that you're scheduling based on because of the volume. A cafe might have a different matrix that you're scheduling based on versus just your drive through. So I think that
Yep.
all those things are great. So probably starting out with and be honest with yourself. Like
Mhm.
what tier of a location is this? Like how much? And the easiest way I would say is just like what you just said there, like traffic count. So I
Yep.
had a guy. approached me about he's got a new location he's looking at. This will be his first drive through. He's like, hey, so this looks really good. And man, projections on this site look amazing. And I said, no, 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 wait a second. Wait. What does that mean? Like, is the developer telling you the projections? Like,
Yeah.
okay, stop. Like, I would go to the city or the county and ask them for the traffic count on that corner, because the developer is going to give you projections that are like they're skewed his direction, right? And this one was like, it's got a newer area and it's going to be the next up and coming place. And they're going to drop a bunch of like commercial on all four sides, or a bunch of like shops on all four sides. I'm like, yeah, but that could be over the next 5 to 10 years. You might not even last that long if the traffic count's not right. You know what I mean? So it's like, make sure the traffic count is there. Make sure your ingress and egress is right? Make sure that traffic is traveling the direction you need it to be going in the mornings and in the afternoons, because if it's going the other direction, they're not going to cross a busy street to get to you,
Yep.
so that you can be, so your traffic count can be great, but it could be going the wrong direction. So make sure your ingress and egress is great, right? And then once you've established, okay, this is going to be a banger or not, right? Because some things, it's like some shops, even that are on a high traffic corner, if the stacking isn't good, nobody's going to wait in line, so it could be just a marketing opportunity. And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes you want to drop in just a moniker on a corner, knowing this isn't going to be a high volume store, but it's a high visibility store, which
Mhm.
is going to make everybody know, oh, wow. I remember Wes was looking at a spot in Spokane years and years ago, and the corner was awful for stacking, but it was incredible for visibility. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so we just had the conversation about not every store is going to be a banger monetarily, but could really do great things for the brand, because for Wes, we hadn't been in Spokane yet. So to
Mhm.
drop in a shop on a high traffic corner like that says, oh, look, Roasters is here. Like,
Yep.
that's a big deal. And then we could drop in another shop, maybe someplace that doesn't have as much visibility, that will actually look like, oh, we can start having some symbiotic energy between two stores in a new region. So I think
Yep.
all those things are great things to be working through.
Yeah, and all of those are gonna determine, really who it is that you're staffing in that shop.
Yeah.
I think bare minimum, what we kind of decided on, after fumbling that ball a few times over our openings was you want at least 50-50 veteran baristas and brand new baristas. I would say minimum 50-50. And veteran meaning, they've been a barista at least 5 to 6 months. They know what they're doing. You don't have to handhold anymore. They're running morning shifts at your busy shops. Pull those in because you have to have good car times. You have to have good quality. You have to have good customer service that first 3 months of your open in the morning. Otherwise, it could be a great location, but if you ruin it, like there's nothing you can do about that. It's ruined. You might
Yeah.
still get like this. You might get the few poor souls who haven't been to your shop yet, wandering in, and they'll come in and have a bad experience and say, "Nope, I shouldn't have tried that. I knew it when I rolled in." So you have to have those veterans in the morning shift. There's just no two ways about it. And you can have your morning shift veterans, and you can have some afternoon veterans, and then that's where you start peppering in your new baristas. They need that training anyways. We always start the new baristas in the afternoon and the evening. It's slower. They have
Yeah.
more time to think. There's not always a line of 15 cars that they're staring at, and they're getting super anxious and they nervous and messing up. Like, give them time to acclimate, and then from those shops that you pull that 50% of veterans from, and then you staff those with new baristas. Those are solid crews. They're solid shops. They're doing well. So you can pepper in 2 or 3 new baristas at those shops at a time. We did make a few mistakes also in the years where we would say, okay, this is going to be a high tier, high traffic shop. Let's just pull all of our veteran employees from this one other high tier, high traffic shop. So you
Yeah.
basically cut the leg off of one of your super profitable shops to try and beef up a new shop, and that's even just as bad of a mistake, because
Yeah.
now we've got a hole over here. We've got to fill brand new baristas, and while this new shop may be doing really well, the old shop's sales are plummeting because we've gutted them from their veteran baristas. So yeah, obviously, if you only have 3 locations, this new one being your third or maybe your fourth, you don't have a lot to choose from. So you have to spread that out as much as possible, but you do need those veteran baristas in your new location. I would never, ever, ever advise opening a new location with just all new baristas. If you, unless it's your first location, which is obviously that's going to happen. You stumble through that. But when you're at location 3, you just can't do that anymore. You have to staff it with some veterans.
Yeah. No, I love that. I'll never forget back in the early days, us pulling Jarek out of Richland, and that was the cash cow, right? That was our biggest
Yep.
shop at Roasters. I mean, that thing was like driving volume, like no one, there was nobody else compared to it. I mean, the closest thing we had, back in those days was out in Pasco on 20th. I mean, like that
Hmm.
was our next one, but like that one was such a smaller volume because this is a big cafe. It's a lot of stacking area. This is a major hub on George Washington, right? Like just some
Hmm.
really big spots. And it was like a high traffic store, but we wanted to ascend Jarek up into the next height. It was when we first lost Taryn, right? We were pulling Jarek out of the day-to-day management, putting him up
Hmm.
into more of like a regional oversight. And man, it really punched us in the mouth because we thought that his assistant was ready to be able to take on, I don't know if it was Paulie back then, somebody back then, right? We thought we could ascend that person up to hold the space. Maybe it was Drew even. That's funny. Like whatever, but they wasn't, they just weren't ready yet. And the store really started dropping. And then I feel like we repeated that when we did at the same store with Drew, right?
Hmm.
We put Drew over Richland back in, and Drew had made his way up through Edison or made his way up to manage some smaller stores. We put him into a higher traffic situation. He held the space. And then when we pulled Drew out of Richland, on same thing. Like, so I do
Yep.
think you have to be really, really careful, even on your high profitable stores, on be careful who you're taking of your leaders. Make sure you're really thinking through the profitability, the profit center of your stores, right? Because this
Uh-huh.
new one is going to be a little bit of a gamble, right? And if you sacrifice your cash cow
Yep.
for a possibility, like you
Yep.
said, you could really be like cutting yourself off at both knees because probably the new location, even if it is a banger, it's going to take a little while to really start revving up to speed. I know for us in Belize, like our second location is a banger, but man, let me tell you what, year two as a banger is monumentally higher than year one as a banger was. I mean, it's probably out of the can, it came out punching, but man, not like it is now in year two. You know what I mean? And I think
Yep.
so. Think in your mind of who is like, where is the most vital place? Let me make sure I'm really careful of vital leaders that I leave in place of those spots until I'm really sure that person can be substituted by somebody else.
Yeah, you make a good point that I think a lot of coffee companies overlook is they don't have a good training system in place for those assistant managers. Assistant managers just get overlooked. They're like,
Yep.
you help the manager. Manager's the important person. They're the one I'm always talking to when I have gripes about the store. When the store's doing well, they're the one I'm talking to. The unfortunate thing is if you overlook that assistant manager and the training of that assistant manager for too long, you
Yep.
need a manager if you're going to open another store. So what are you going to
Exactly.
do? Just have, or maybe let's just have one manager manage 3 stores, and then you go down the whole road of like, it's just a shit show at that point. If you
Yep.
have a good assistant manager training, some sort of training in place, SOPs in place that they can be learning, so that when you are ready to open the store, pull your awesome manager out of that location because you've gotten an awesome assistant who's like, yeah, I'm
Right.
ready to pay raise. Let's go.
Yep. No, I think creating a solid ascension plan. And I felt like we got better and better at that at
Hmm.
Rose. Like when we started hitting like 10 locations and 11 locations. I think we started, you and I started having conversations about we better give them like a employee roadmap. Like how are they ascending? How do they make more money here? How are they getting promoted here? Where does it benefit them? That was when we introduced the whole idea of rev sharing. You know what I mean? Like how a higher rev share cut. Oh, it's as I ascend, it's not only just a dollar amount, actually make an extra kicker bonus every single month based upon revenue that I'm saving the company, not only with sales on sales bonuses, we did that too, but money I'm saving the company. And we start educating the people and showing them that path. And I felt like we really started picking up good speed at that point because it was then like, oh, assistants, this is the ascension to manager. Oh, and manager, this is the ascension to regional management, and then like,
Hmm.
and then where you and I had built it out was to the point of franchisees, like giving them a continual projection upward of this is how I continue to make money and take ground within this corporation because everybody wants to see future, right? So I think really thinking through what is my ascension? Do I have an ascension? Maybe right now you're one location, two locations. Maybe you're just starting and you're like, ascension, what? I'm just trying to get out of my job. I think there are things you want to be thinking about, but I would say tuck in your brain. What's the employee roadmap? I mean, like,
Hmm.
how are people going to continue to grow with me? I think that's really important.
The last thing you want to do is you're getting ready to open a new location. You actually got an agreement on the deal, getting ready to break ground, and you go, okay, who do I like? That's my next manager. Like, that's the worst thing you could possibly do. Like, when I go into the shop, who do I like the most? They're going to be my new manager. If you could just have an ascension plan in place already where that person is being trained by their current manager or their assistant manager, and that's actually being worked out, and then you go, hey, we're getting ready to open a new shop, and then 3 assistants raise their hand and say, hey, I'm ready to be a manager. I'm ready to be a manager. I'm ready to be a manager. Then it's just a matter of like, all right, who can manage their shop well? Whose manager can I take from that shop? Or maybe whose current shop fits this new shop that I'm opening the most? Those are real easy decisions to make versus like having to go, Who do I like the most? Who do I think is going to be good? What if they're not good? I have to rely on like what their other fellow baristas are saying about them. Like if you could just have a plan and that plan is just working behind the scenes while you're getting ready to open, then it's just a matter of plucking them and put them into a new spot. We got really good at that towards the end where it's like, hey, you could literally be working in this store tomorrow or this store the next day, and we could just go bink over here, move you over here. And it was like nothing happened. And you would just be straight into the flow of like a really profitable shop. That takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of planning.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Ben. For those of you thinking about starting something new, or if you know somebody starting something new with coffee, send them our way. Coffee experts. We love talking to folks. And we'll see you back here. Coffee experts. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week. Ben Clatterbuck. Appreciate you, brother.
Talk to you later.
Hey, experts. We've got something really awesome that we do here at Coffee Experts Club, and that's called the My First Drive-Through Coffee Masterclass. So if you're opening your next coffee shop, I think a lot of times you may think to yourself, I know what goes into opening a coffee shop. I've been doing this for years, but maybe you've been doing it for somebody else. And maybe this is your first option of starting a coffee shop on your own. Or maybe you don't know anything about coffee and you're just like, I'm looking for a good investment opportunity. Starting a coffee shop seems like a good place to put it, and you're going to enter into it. But what you don't know is all the things that you don't know, right? And so what we've done with this masterclass is taken behind the scenes, how you find your first location, what you need to be thinking about in finding a location. We give you a gift in the masterclass where it's a step-by-step process of how you're opening your coffee shop, the different checkpoints you need from coming up with your plans and talking with the city and then negotiating a lease. And then how do you build a team and what are the different pieces you need to be thinking about? It's a great masterclass, door to door, start to finish, completely free on opening up your next coffee drive-through. So check it out. It's at myfirstdrivethrough.coffee, and it's a great masterclass. You won't regret it. We'll see you on the inside there.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-through at www.myfirstdrivethrough.coffee.